The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
For your post assignment, all units proceed to your post assignment.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
welcome back to the Thursday after dinner show, our last show of Memorial Week. And of course, we have another great guest coming on. But first, we pause to remember Deputy Sheriff Daniel Scherer from Morrow County Sheriff's Office in Ohio, end of watch Monday, May 26, 2025. Let's keep Deputy Scherer's family, friends, peers, his community in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this tough time and navigate a new life, a new normal for themselves. And let's try to keep the peace out there and settle things better than going straight to the gun as we move forward in life. Like I said, tonight we have a great guest coming on, someone I got to meet in person at a cohort 7 of Spartan Leadership Program's kickoff in Charlotte. She brings over 20 years of experience as a coach, mentor, speaker, and advocate for personal growth and healing. In this conversation, she's going to share her journey through love, loss, and resilience, and how she turns tragedy into purpose by building community and support and compassion. She's the author of the recently released on April 22nd of this year book, Special Forces. Her passion for mentoring youth will talk about, how she navigated grief, growth, and healing after trauma, and building connection through advocacy and service. So without further ado, let's welcome my friend and soon to be yours, Willow Clerici, to the show. Welcome, Willow.
Hi, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you on here, and I'm glad that you agreed to come on at such quick notice. and after we really just met, you agreed to come on here. That was great. And your bio says a lot about you. 20 years of being a coach, a mentor, a speaker. You're also a mom of 2. You're a wife, a sister. You do a lot of things for your community, and then you also are there for your friends as well. So that speaks volumes to who you are as a human, and I applaud you for all you're doing.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of it was kind of organic, in coaching and mentoring and speaking and things of that nature. It's just been a part of my life in general. As a parent of special needs kids, the wife of a Air Force veteran, so many different pieces have added to the richness of what I can bring to the table, if you will.
Yeah, you have a lot of things in your bowl that you can mix together to share and show a recipe for maybe helping someone else be successful as they go through this crazy thing we call life. Mm-hmm. I think you bring a lot to that table. So tonight, hopefully the audience will get as much out of you as, I talked to you just before we did the WAD. And we were laughing that we were going to do a WAD as soon as we got off an airplane. That was pretty awesome. And then a little bit during the weekend, but now we're going to dive a little deeper into you and the writing of Special Forces. So if you don't mind, just tell us a little more about your backstory and how we got here.
Sure. So, how we got here. So I met you through the Travis Manion Foundation, and I got to the Travis Manion Foundation is, I guess, how I should kind of begin that piece. My brother, my stepbrother, was an Atlantic City firefighter. And on June 26th of 2017, he died by suicide. And it was a moment that devastated our family's lives for, we will continue to carry that with us and his children's lives. And in that space, I connected with other friends in order to kind of process my grief. I continued I have a big practice in yoga and meditation, and continued on with that because it really became a place for me to process that grief. And a friend of mine was like, hey, there's this thing called the Travis Manion Foundation. They're doing this 9/11 Heroes Run. Let's go do some yoga, stretch them out before the event. And I thought, hey, I'm like, that sounds amazing. I'd love to go, support that. My brother had been a first responder in 9/11 because, Jersey is not far from New York City. And when I went and I saw the opening ceremonies for the 9/11 Heroes Run, I was so impacted by the genuine appreciation and recognition of those who had fallen and those who are still serving. Not only in the military, but also first responders. And I was just so impacted by that. I was like, I need to check out this organization. So I signed up to be a character does matter mentor. And the rest is kind of history from there.
And for those
Now
who don't know,
start cohort 7 with you.
yes, we're in the thick of things now.
Yeah.
About Evolution 2, I believe it's called, and then go to Colorado and camp out and have fun up there and learn more about ourselves and each other.
Yes.
And sudden loss is even harder than a prolonged loss, I guess, or knowing someone is going to go, vice them suddenly going. That is a turmoil, kind of like Deputy Sheriff tonight, talking about him losing his life on duty. You kind of expect that as a soldier or officer, but for your brother to lose his life via suicide, I'm sure that was a shock to the family. The shockwave went through y'all, and to have a support system for you as your friends and peers were able to coach you up, and then you were able to, again, use your background to help others through your own grief to help others.
Yeah.
And how's that going now for you?
Yeah. So in that, I really used Albie's death as a catalyst. It impacted me so much. I realized, like, what can I do, right, for first responders, for military, and my husband, Air Force veteran. What can I do for them to help them navigate and process the trauma that they see or that they experience in their lives, and so from that stemmed an actual whole program, suicide prevention program, that I ended up going to my brother's firehouse and doing for the entire Atlantic City Fire Department on suicide prevention with an employee prevention advocate from the state of New Jersey as well. So like, I not only took that, I was like, how can I use this? I reconnected with his brothers at the firehouse, got to talk to them. And it was just an amazing connection to kind of share where I was in my grief, where our family was, and where they were, in the loss of their brother. And it really created this beautiful space of discussion and openness about mental health and well-being, about how we can find ways to support ourselves so that we don't get so stressed out to the point where we want to do something drastic. And after that, got more into coaching, more into mentoring, especially found, within the Travis Manion Foundation, mentoring the youth became so meaningful to me, because it was like, how can I instill these values and these qualities to the youth who are going to be building our nation, who are going to be going into the world and creating, our future, as we get older and we age. And it has just given me so much purpose and meaning to be able to see these youth go out and live, these character traits and really think about things differently than they did before, as well as what I can do in my community for families who have gone through trauma or have learned about my 2 older boys or special needs, and navigating just that as a family and being able there to support other families through diagnoses and things of that nature, all kind of connects. And it's just been the journey that I've been on since then.
It's like a roller coaster for you, I'm sure. You see the highs and lows of getting in front of the youth, and getting in front of youth, for those who have not done it, it could be an awesome ride, or it could be an insane ride while you're in there with it, because you will get in youth questions and they do try to throw you for a loop. But like you were saying with CDM, when someone asks me, why do I do CDM? Why am I with Travis Manion? I always tell them, because I want to make the next generation of leaders better than we were, better prepared than we were, because I didn't have that kind of mentorship when I was growing up, or CDM type mentorship to show me that I could be that leader. I had to learn the ropes kind of on my own. I had my dad, of course, he taught me stuff, and then the Army, and I learned from people that were disgruntled leaders, and they taught me how to lead disgruntledly. I had to learn on my own how to have empathy and try to show it as much as possible. I'm not really good at it. Anyone will ask you about my empathy, and they'll probably come up in the comments right now that, yeah, right, no empathy or no sympathy. But I was always there for my people, learning in the second half of my career. The first half of my career, I'll tell you, take the punch in the mouth saying I wasn't that good. But I've learned to be a better person and learn more about myself to help others, and learn more about them to see their strengths to help me. And I think that's what CDM really does for us.
I agree. 100%.
And we have two things in common. We're both from New Jersey, and then now we're both in Tennessee. Well, three. TMF, of course.
Right.
So we just keep knocking them off. So,
Mhm.
and our upbringing in the North and then coming to the South that's an eye opener as well. The two different worlds, the North and South. But I didn't really think it was really a thing when I was growing up until I moved to the South. It is different down here. People actually say hello sometimes. You don't have to curse at them. This is weird. Did you have any shocking moments like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. As we're, coming down the street in our development and the neighbors are waving and I'm like, why are you waving? I'm like, do you need something? And the kids are like, want to wave. I'm like, don't wave. Like, you can't do that. And then like we began to realize like, oh, people are actually nice here. You can wave to everybody. And now like if we go back to New Jersey, I have to tell my children to stop waving. I'm like, no, you're going to draw attention to yourself. You can't wave. So
here's a place where we don't do it.
Right, exactly. Like they've had to learn, no, you can wave at home. And when you go back to New Jersey, no, there's no waving or friendliness because you might get yelled at.
Let's talk a little bit about Special Forces and your process of writing it, and that's a roller coaster too. Starting the book, the writer's journey, I like to call it, and then coming to the point like April 22nd when it was finally the lights are on and Amazon said, "Hey, go sell it." How was that journey for you? And tell us about the book as well.
Yeah. So Special Forces came. So the name of the book really stems from several different things. So Special Forces, it's a bit of an inspirational book. I share about my faith. I share about how I just see how the universe, how certain things just connect and collide to create what was showing up in my life. And the forces is kind of like this special forces of, right, like all of that happening together, as well as, right, the military spin and my husband being a veteran, me being involved in Travis Manning Foundation, as well as, so in the book I share, when you become a special needs parent, I've not been a special ops person. I am not military. But what I can say is the amount of hyper vigilance and hyper awareness that now become a part of your life. You are detective, you are nurse, you are doctor, you are internist, you are behaviorist, you are planning, like the amount of things that are in your head to connect. You're a special ops person, in my opinion. So that's where kind of Special Forces came from in itself. The book really grew out of a space of the more I mentored and coached, the more I realized people felt alone in their diagnoses. People felt alone in whether I talk all about my brother's suicide, I talk about losing my mother, I talk about I had breast cancer, I talk about Travis Manning Foundation in the book, I talk about all these things in my life over the last, I talk about my divorce, like all these things and my remarriage and new baby and like everything in my life for the last 20 some years, because I realized people felt alone and I was like, you're not, right. And as people have connected to the book and said, oh my gosh, I saw myself in those pages. I thought I was the only one that thought that way. I didn't realize everybody else was having this experience or someone else thought that. And I just really heard like, you've got to get this out there and just share your story because someone else needs to know they're not alone and that like, they're okay to feel the way that they felt or to have seen things that, they saw and acknowledge, darkness and light and that they can coexist. And you can also come out, having used all those things stronger and better than you ever thought you could be. And that is kind of the why of Special Forces and the process. I just, set it in my time, set it in my schedule, set the alarm every day and got up and wrote, every day and spent time and wrote until it was like, I think we're done here. We're coming up to like, this is it. And really heard that I was like, we're complete. And I think with a book that's somewhat of a memoir, you could go on forever.
Right.
And I kind of came to the point where I was like, this is the place to stop. And knew that. And then the editing began, which I gave myself some time. I really needed to let it breathe, if you will, because it was my life and everything there was a lot of very personal and emotional stories in the book that I needed some time to kind of detach from that a little bit. And then when I came back into editing, it made it a little bit better. But yeah, then went through the editing process, and, Amazon seemed to say I didn't plagiarize or do anything or steal somebody else's life. And, and here we are.
Thanks, Amazon.
Right.
The AI wonders.
But the AI could really read through that pretty quick.
Yeah, they're pretty good at it now. You said a few things there that really resonate. One, writing your own story, really, you have to take that break every once in a while, or you're going to go back into those situations in your mind and really you could wind up in a dark area before coming back. To the process, it's really good that you set the timer. Some people just have, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm going to write for 1 hour and get X amount of words out. I can't do that. So I wake up at that time in the morning and the ADD button goes, and I have to do something, go to the gym, and then come back. And then what was I going to do? Oh yeah, right. And then I'll do that. But you never know what's going to happen. So I'm glad you set that timer. And then the editing process, that's a fun game with Amazon or Ingram Spark. It's a great game to play with both of them to see what they believe you're saying or not saying. How long was your journey from starting the first time you started writing till April 22nd?
I would say it took me, so I started it towards the end of January of 2024. I finished writing in about July of 2024, so almost a year ago, and then picked up editing August, September-ish, and then would edit as much as I could, let it breathe again, edit some more. And then by, I'm going to say end of January, February of this year, I was complete, and then shared it with a few people to read, on the side and get some input. And then once I felt complete enough with said support, I was like, all right, we're gonna hit that submit button and go from there.
And that's a great feeling once you go from there and they say yes, it comes out.
Yeah.
And then all you have to do now, the marketing is a little harder than people believe it is to get it out there and people to say yes, it's there. I just posted in the chat here, so
Right.
people have your link and all in there. And I'll post it again towards the end just in case those joining later didn't see it. But it's also in the show note. It'll be in the show notes as well. I'll add it back in there, so the link will be there. And if you search Special Forces by Willow Clerici on Amazon, it should be the first and only one that pops up, hopefully, unless there's a whole second clone out there that we don't know about yet.
Yeah. Well,
We
thank
do
you.
have a question from the audience right now
Sure.
from Jess Twain. What does resilience mean to you after experiencing personal loss? Thank you, Jess.
Yeah, that's such a great question, Jess. Resilience to me is this ability to see the meaning in what's occurred sooner, right? Like I've closed that gap of when trauma or grief hit that, it could have taken weeks, months, years to kind of bounce back and kind of pull back to life from that now takes a shorter period of time. Now, of course, that depends on what you're going through or the loss that you've experienced. But in general, having gone through so many of the hard things I've gone through in my life, I kind of have this different perspective. It's a different mindset, resilience. It's like, because I've allowed myself to grow and to feel the pain, right? To allow all that to come in, to really experience what it all is, right? I think that that's something that we often push away, that when we feel loss, we push it away. We don't want to feel the pain. We don't want to feel the grief because it's uncomfortable and it's not a place I want to be in. But it's important. Like those are important emotions and feelings to feel, but not forever, right? Like you allow yourself to feel them for a little bit, like little bits at a time, and you process them as you start to feel them. But like you really allow them to kind of close the circle, because if you keep pushing them away, they're going to keep coming back to you. And the more I've allowed myself to really be in the misery of loss, if you will, and the mourning and the grief, and just allowed myself to experience that and made it okay. But knowing, right, like that after a couple of days, we're like, there's a moment like, and people that are going to come to me and say like this, you're done here, like, let's move on. Or that I know in my head, like, this is not forever. I'm just allowing this to be, there is this space of knowing when I'm complete in that, because usually the pain starts to dissipate and that resilience continues to build. That's like it's a muscle. Resilience is like a skill. I feel like people can build if they choose to, because it's not an easy muscle to build.
And I know a lot of people I served with, those in my age group, I guess, as we went through, I never heard the word resilience really until I retired, or I didn't listen to the word resilience to know what it meant. But we were all resilient at that time. We just didn't know what we did was being resilient. We thought we were just doing our jobs and bouncing back every time we fell down, got back up and kept pushing forward. So having now the word is out there, being resilient, having that mindset to stay in the positive mindset, things will be better, things can be better. Those are words that were never really talked to a lot of people. Do you find that when you're coaching, a lot of the youth already know these words, or you have to build that up in them?
Yeah, I do. I believe that they are things that you have to build up with people. Because, again, I think it's like almost like an emotional vocabulary that some people don't have. Like they weren't exposed to some of this social emotional intelligence, as some people call it, and how to navigate what that is, and to be okay with your feelings, to be okay with emotions, to be okay to feel all that stuff. And, that it can be a positive experience, right? Ultimately to know your feelings and know yourself so that you know what you're feeling, right? Like, how do I discern between grief and anger? Sometimes, right? Like they could be very close together in sometimes how they feel in the body and where it sits in the body, or how you're emotionally feeling. And it's learning that, but it's also saying like, it's temporary. You never are going to feel that way forever. Know that it will change, but you have to also choose to change. Right. And that's part of the conversation, is that positivity, is that you need to choose to step out of this, because whatever grief you're feeling, you're not meant to feel forever. And you're meant to build on this. You're meant to be stronger. You're meant to become stronger from what you've experienced.
Right. That's 100% correct. And as you said that, we have another question came in that goes right along those lines, I believe. This is from Gracie Allen 44. Have you ever found healing through writing, service, or mentorship? Thank you, Gracie Allen.
Yeah. Gracie Allen, all of the above, right? Like writing, service, mentoring, all of those things. And it's something that, Rich, you can tell me if you agree, that TMF instills as well, that the more you serve, especially when you're like feeling in a tough space, the more you get out of the service. Right? Like when I was grieving, or when I was in these spaces, like the more I mentored, the more I gave back to my community, the more I got involved, the more connected I felt, right? The grief and those things want you to be isolated. It wants you to isolate yourself and like just sit in that misery. But the more I actually gave of myself to others, the more I experienced love and connection and meaning in my life. And it gave me more of that meaning. And then writing, right? Like writing the book, writing in my journal, things of that nature, to kind of process through things, have certainly been super impactful in my life.
And definitely, you're right on with TMF. The more you serve to build that purpose, you feel better, not just about you, about what you're doing. Just even like the honor project this weekend.
Yeah.
See those who are in the cemetery grieving, and you're there just to be in the shadows, kind of to pay respects to those people and say their names and keep their name, keep their memory alive. But you also see them when they see you doing that. and they might come over to you.
Mhm.
You're just that listening ear and that shoulder for them to talk to, someone that they can talk to that they don't always talk to. And it makes you feel good, makes them feel good. And you've done something and served that purpose that day.
Yeah. Yeah. We do that here at Mountain Home National Cemetery. And the last couple of years we've done it. And last year we were out doing the coins and a family came up and was like, what is this? And I said, are you here visiting a loved one? And they said, yeah. And like, I went over and we talked all about their loved one. And it's such an impactful project for me because it just is such a tangible visual of our freedom and the cost of it. And I just feel so honored to get to share space with some of these families, as well as that I get to go out and visit people that other people can't get to, right? So the Honored Project, part of, you can request your fallen loved one to be visited,
right?
And that I get to be the vessel that gets to go do that is such an honor. I take that so seriously, especially, for Memorial Day. It's just such a grateful feeling of service that I get being able to do that for someone else and to say that name, to talk about that person, to think about them, to share it with whoever I'm with, and talk about them is really meaningful.
Definitely is. And when you do get those names from people who don't like for us here, don't live in the Western Kentucky cemetery area, they can't come to visit those graves and they put their name in there. You go out there and say that name to keep that name alive, keep that person's third death from happening, as they say. And it makes you build up with that purpose and purposeful joy. I'd like to say, even though you're in a solemn area, but you still have the joy that you were able to do that and do that for that family that may be thousands of miles away at the time. We have one in our cemetery that we just dug into there from the Revolutionary War. So, and
wow.
He probably doesn't have a lot of family left. So we all go there, and we all know exactly where he is. We found him the first honor project we did, and it's the fifth grave over. We all go to him first and say his name, so that his name.
That's really cool.
And it's him and his wife.
That's neat.
So
yeah.
You never know what you're going to see in these cemeteries, and that's just something that I never thought I would see, a Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
So that's the wildness of what we do.
Right.
And another question came in while we were talking.
Okay.
This is from Gandalf, Gandalf Life Lord. What are some ways to turn personal grief into a mission of purpose? Thank you, Gandalf.
Wow. Gandalf was wise, right? It's such a good question. Turn personal grief into meaning. Yeah. What did that person who you're grieving love? What did they stand for? What was their legacy? Right? Like my brother, his legacy, he was such a people person. Like he was the big man in the room. He was such an energy, and he was of service, right? He was a firefighter. He, helped out in the community. He was always doing something around town. And right, knowing that, part of my reason for being in TMF is just that, because he was of service. He was of that. So whatever that person that you may have lost or you're grieving, whatever something that was of their legacy, go and serve in that way. Go and honor them. Go continue that legacy for them that they can no longer live, because legacy is not just what you leave behind. It's how you live your life each day. And that I get to live his legacy daily, he's still alive, for me.
And the way you're doing things and teaching, coaching, mentoring right now is something, just about what you just explained, is something he would have done too. So you're living the same way he lived and keeping on that momentum that he had through your own service, through your community, and through your growing network now. So
yeah,
I'm sure that makes that heart swell and palpitate and go crazy every once in a while. You think, he's with me. I'm doing this with him, right? So his memory will always be there with you, and then your boys will also see you do this, and hopefully they can do it, push it forward as well.
Yeah.
Do they go out with you to the TMF events as well?
They do. Sometimes voluntold to do it, right?
Part of being a
because that's what parents do. We volunteer our children to do things, but yeah, like great questions will come from it. They understand why I do the things that I do. They understand my desire and legacy to be of service to my community, to be of support to people in my community. And they're also like super, like they love to do stuff in the community. Like each of them have their own flavor of how they like to do, service, but I see it in them. And it's impactful to see that I also in my own house, right? I live what I preach. I do what I can to, live how I speak, how I mentor, how I coach, that I can do that with them.
That's awesome. And you're building their legacy right there too. So
Yeah.
when you finally rest at one point, if you ever stop,
No.
it'll be a long way down the road. I know that.
I sure hope so.
They'll pick up that slack for you, and the grands will do the same thing, or their network will do the same thing for you, and it'll grow forever. And that's part of this game too. We do as we mentor the youth, as we mentor those to our left and right as well. You get them to push forward and try to make our communities better. It matters not what goes on millions of miles away from our house. It matters what happens at our house and our community. And if we can lead there, things will be good.
Yeah.
I'll take a pause here and plug our Reach Across America radio. We are on there Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in on iHeartRadio Network. Misfit Nation's on every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So check us out there. That's our public service announcement for this show. So we're moving up.
I love Reach Across America. That's a fun day.
Yeah. They picked us up just 3 weeks ago, and we're doing well with them. They're a good partnership to have, and great people, great organization. I love that. I love that event in December as well. So that keeps us all motivated for another thing to do. We just got one in from Bubba Joe Dupree. This is another big name. How can we best support military families and survivors in our communities?
Well, I think certainly finding where the need is. If you know of a military family or survivor or somebody in your community who needs support, like, hey, do you need help with your landscaping? Do you need some groceries? Does mom need a babysitter? Right? Does mom and dad need a night out? Right? Like things of that nature, just seeing what the need is and go serving it. I mean, you can join an organization like Travis Manion Foundation and find out if there are veterans in the community that do specifically need support, or, going to the VA even maybe and connecting with some people at the VA and say, hey, are there people that could use some extra support here? Do you need extra something, especially around holidays? That other families that might need some extra support could be a wonderful way to serve those families in your community.
Yeah, I agree. If we try to meet them where they are and see what they need at that point, don't go and shower them with things that they really don't need, because that might make things a lot worse for them as well. So try to meet them where they are, try to get to know them, see what they need or what they want to do to live that purposeful life. And maybe you can point them in the right direction. Maybe it is Travis Manion Foundation. Maybe it's another organization in your community that is doing something that they're more aligned with. Maybe it's a soup kitchen or something that helps others. And where they are, that's where you want to meet them, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or even like a, what's it called? Like the Legion, the American Legion or something like that. Like one of those VFWs,
right.
Going in there, and just meeting people. I'm sure you'll find immediately people to just either listen to because they just want an ear to talk to, or you'll find an immediate need you can try and fill.
Exactly. And there's definitely people in those places that want to talk, and that's why they're sitting in there most of the time. Someone at home doesn't want to listen to them anymore.
Right.
They want to be there, and it's a good place to go and learn a lot, so that they will share stories that they don't share with anyone else. It's good to hear those stories, and they don't have to go away from us without telling someone those stories. So it's good to have those shared.
Yeah.
Memory of us. What are your self-care rituals that help you feel grounded? Thank you, Memory of Us.
Yeah, memory of us. That's such a important piece of daily life. So my daily rituals are typically getting up, and there's some quiet time there, just to kind of ground myself. And that could just be saying some prayers for my in general, taking some just quiet time to pause before my day and reflect. If I'm lucky, I get to be outside and kind of enjoy a quiet morning and just listen to nature. Just being outside especially helps to ground me. Just listening and allowing kind of all the senses to come in, and getting some of that early morning light is kind of one of those big impactful grounding places for me. And then, I usually, if I can, I'm usually working out, because movement is a key part of my mental health and well-being. And then connecting with my children, my husband, kind of like getting some of those first connections that are meaningful in the morning. And then I also, make time and block time in my schedule for space. It's very important when you're doing self-care to make sure that you block time for, like, even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes for nothing, to just decompress and to just have that, especially in the middle of your day, if you can. And then in the evenings, yeah, it's a little bit similar. I'm an early sleeper because I'm an early riser. So I try to be off of technology, clearly not tonight, by 8:00-ish, and getting ready, for bed. Lights are dimmed, kind of really creating that environment of a really important sleep cycle is number one in my book. And in like in the well-being kind of hierarchy, sleep is first. And then it's like exercise and diet and like a bunch of other things you could throw in there. And there's a million of them, but really creating that base schedule for yourself is very impactful to your health and your well-being, especially your mindset and your mental, emotional well-being, because everything is connected, right? The sleep connects to everything. The exercise, the diet, they're all connected, and creating space for those, for me in daily, are the top 3 factors in that space. But yeah, and it could be, my workout could be yoga, it could be running, it could be jujitsu, it could be strength training, right? Like we kind of get after it a bit here in this household, and it's important to have a strong body so that I can, be of service. If I can't take care of this container and this person and this being, and make this person a priority, I can't take care of anybody else. It's kind of like that old adage, put your oxygen mask on first, right? When you're in the airplane, when it drops, you got to put yours on, and then you can help other people around you. And it's really, you have to, and it's okay to choose you over other things, right? At times, and other times, there's times when you can't, when you might have to put yourself second or third. And the more you prioritize your self-care and your routine, the more you'll be able to help and serve others, right? It's not like making yourself number one and everything revolves around you. It's creating space for you to really care for yourself so that you can truly spend, the other time you would desire to spend in service or, working and living life because you want to do that.
Right. If you're not capable of doing that, then you're not really useful to those you're trying to help anyway. So it's better to build your temple and then help them build theirs along the way. The oxygen mask is a very key point there. That's everyone laughs on the airplane when they say that, and there's a reason why they say it, and there's a reason why they tell you to take off your COVID mask if you have that on as well. You got to train people to
right.
There's a lot of things that we all think are funny on the airplanes, but they're told for a purpose and a reason, and it factors into life as well. If you're not able to do something, you can't take care of you can't take care of others. I hope I said that right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause eventually you'll burn out. Like you can do it for a while, but eventually, and I was one of those people as the mom, just got burnout. Was like, what is happening? And if you can't fill your tank, you can't fill your cup, like you're running on empty, and that's only going to last so long before the whole car breaks down, right? If you want to make it like a car analogy, like you've got to put gas in it. Otherwise it ain't going to run. And if it's not running, it's not doing you any good. It's not going to get you to the grocery store or to work because there's nothing in it. So you got to do that.
Exactly. If the machine isn't oiled, it's not going to go. It's going to seize up, and people have to take care of you at that point. And
right.
It's just a never-ending cycle.
Right. Yeah.
Willow, we've hit a lot of things very quickly here. So, I mean, the questions helped out. The audience questions pushed along the conversation pretty well. Thanks for sharing your story here tonight. A lot of our audience does have their own podcasts. I think I told you this. How would they get in contact with you if they want you to be on their show to share your journey as well?
Yeah, I would love that. So my Instagram is at Willow Page, Paige, and my Facebook is my name, Willow Clerici. Or you can check me out on my website, which is willow-page.com. Those are some easy places to find me. You can just direct message me. I'm homegrown. I answer all my own messages and do all that stuff,
One woman machine. There we go.
Yeah. Which is what you get.
Which is why you have to get self-care and take that.
Right. Yes. Right. It was very true. It was very true.
I put all those links in the chat so you can find it there, and it'll be in the notes for the audio file as that comes out later this evening. Willow, you kind of answered this question already, but what we ask our guests as we're about to close out is, what's 3 things the Misfit Nation can start doing tomorrow to make them a better person?
I invite people to consider thoughtfulness about what lights them up, right? What brings you joy? What do you most love doing? And consider investing some time into that. Because as you step into things that you're more passionate about, right? It's a ripple effect.
Right.
And you as you're in that space, begin to feel this light, this spark inside of you. And lighting that spark inside of you is the biggest gift you can give anybody. And it's fanning that flame. It's finding things to fan that flame. And sometimes it might be rest, right? Sometimes it might be great sleep. It might be a really healthy meal. It might be a walk, taking care of your, all the self-care things that we talked about. And it might be going out and being of service to others. But finding that spark, I would say, is one thing, that passion, that spark for you. The second, good sleep. I'm gonna hone in on that good sleep. Like there's nothing like good sleep. And I know for a lot of people, especially in the military world, that is very hard to come by. And doing your best to create what I call like a sleep, like a protection, a sleep boundary, right? That you create this space that you get the sleep, right? That you work whatever's happening before or after to create the space to have the best possible outcome, right? And whether that's dark shades, whether that's dimmed lights, whether that's a sleep mask or things of that nature, sleep is super important. And then, and third is the self-care piece, which, yes, the passion, the sleep, all of that, but is loving on yourself, that that self-care piece in the space. And I don't mean like, yes, it can look like a night out. It can look like, a day of vacation or going on vacation. Absolutely. But I also mean like just really recognizing the amazing gift that you are as a human being, and that you were put here on this earth for a reason at this time, which is, if you actually do the research on, is miraculous that you're here on this earth at this time in this day. And reflecting on the gift that you are in that self-care and what you can do to continue to honor you is only going to make you light up more and be more impactful to the people around you.
Definitely. All three of those are great. I know I've taken away your sleep tonight, so
You're not taking away I'm still good.
Okay. We went deep into the 8 o'clock hour here for you.
Yeah, that's okay.
We're central here, so we have a different world.
Right.
All the time in the same state, so it's great.
Right.
But Willow, thank you so much for hanging out tonight and giving the Misfit Nation a whole bunch of tools that they can be better tomorrow with. And don't forget to get Special Forces on Amazon. I put the link in the chat 3 times now, so you have no excuse not to get it, and help Willow spread that word out and spread her story, her memoir out, and get more people to be better with themselves.
Thank you, Rich, for this opportunity. Yeah, thank you for just for being a stand for who you are, for offering this space to share, to have these deep conversations about difficult things, and creating conversations of healing and of meaning and of purpose so that people can continue to go out and be better.
Outstanding. Thank you, Willow. Again, have a good night. Misfit Nation, remember, a day tomorrow with you is better than a day without you. So before you make that permanent decision to a problem that's in your life, reach out to a friend, phone a friend, dial 988, take option 1. If you don't want it to be identified as a veteran, take the other options and just talk to someone. Call us. So we give you our emails every night. Our phone number is on the screen. Call us. We will talk to you. We'd rather have you here tomorrow than not have you with us ever again. So, Misfit Nation, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling. And we'll see you on next Tuesday.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.